Hello lovelies, welcome to a new What I've Watched video where I talk about some of the movies or shows that I've recently watched and give a little bit of info about them and my personal rating, if you will. So, I won't be doing any spoilers, of course, in case you want to see the movie. I do not want to ruin it for you, but I will give my opinion on the movie or the show and if I would recommend it or if I'd watch again. So, some of you that love films can use this as a suggestion video, or if you just want to hang out with me for a little bit and listen to me talk about movies. I love movies, so of course I love chatting about them. I have my list here. It's almost like 30 things, so bear with me. Might be a longer video, but I'm sure you won't mind. So, to start off, I watched Some Like It Hot from 1959, starring Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and Jack Lemmon. It is a comedy/crime. Bill Wilder's 1959 comedy classic with Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon as 20s musicians who hide from the mob as women in an all-girl band. So, I had heard about this movie for years and years, of course. It's got Marilyn in it, and it's definitely a very entertaining film. Marilyn is absolutely gorgeous in it, and it has some good comedy points in it. Funny bits for sure for a vintage film. I would recommend it if you like more vintage movies, black and white films, with some comedy aspects to it. I would probably also watch it again because it did give me a few laughs and the performances are nice, and of course I love Miss Marilyn Monroe, so you can see her lovely performance in it as well. The three of them are quite funny, the way that they play off of each other in this movie. So, next I watched Zombieland Double Tap from 2019. Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, and Emma Stone. A comedy horror. Through comedic mayhem from the White House to the Heartland, 4 slayers face off against the new kinds of evolved zombies and new human survivors. So I watched this because it is the sequel. I saw the first Zombieland and I enjoyed it. This one's not as good. The storyline I don't think is as strong, and personally for me it felt like maybe some of the actors didn't want to come back, and that directed the storyline a little bit. Of course it still has some comedy and I enjoy the characters and the actors in it, and of course it is an entertaining zombie film. I personally don't know if I would watch this one again, but if you're a fan of the first one, you could give it a watch and see what you think. It's just not my favorite. Doesn't live up to the first one in my opinion, but not horrible. Then I watched Quiz Lady from 2023. Awkwafina and Sandra Oh. It is a comedy, a hilarious and heartfelt comedy starring Awkwafina and Sandra Oh as estranged sisters forced to cover their mother's gambling debts, set out to get cash the only way they know how, by turning Anne into a bona fide game show champion. I loved this movie. I clicked on it because Sandra Oh, and it is such a sweet film. It's hilarious as well. There are so many parts in this movie that had me rolling. Super funny, but really heartfelt movie. I love when comedies have really strong emotion and heartfelt scenes in it. I absolutely loved this movie. It was a great find. I will most definitely watch this film again, and I would recommend it if you like comedies. And yeah, it's great. The 2 main characters, Awkwafina and Sandra Oh, as sisters, are really great. Will Ferrell is in it as well, and it's super super entertaining movie. Then I watched Ready or Not from 2019, Samara Weaving, Adam Brody, and Mark O'Brien. This is a thriller horror movie. The bride's wedding night takes a sinister turn when her eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. I love this movie. I don't know why I waited so long to see it. When I first saw the trailers for it back in the day, I wanted to see it, and now it's been several years, and I finally got to. Absolutely love this movie. Great horror movie, great cast. Everyone does so well in it. It definitely has some messed up scenes, as horror does, but there's also like this, like, you gotta laugh at it moments as well. The main girl, Samara Weaving, is fantastic in this movie. She's so good in this film. I don't know if I've seen her. I guess she was briefly in the newer Scream. I'm not sure if I've seen her in other stuff. Oh, maybe she was in that. Was she in Babysitter? Okay, don't listen to me. But she is fantastic in this movie. I would 100% recommend it to scary movie fans. And I will, for sure, watch it again. I want to cosplay from it as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Then I watched The Family That Prays from 2008. Kathy Bates and Alfre Woodard. It's a romantic drama. Best friends Charlotte and Alice find themselves caught up in the middle of drama involving their very different families. So I kept seeing clips from this movie over and over again on Instagram or TikTok, and it looked interesting. Quite a few people from the cast that I know, so I was interested to watch it, and I saw that it was streaming, so why not? Definitely a really good cast from the two different families. Everyone is really good in this movie. It is definitely like heavy on the crazy family drama. I will say there are a couple characters in this movie that pissed me off so bad, and they'll probably make you mad as well. That's kind of the point, but they're like those movie characters that you're like, oh, you are just horrible. You're a horrible person. But I really like Kathy Bates and Alfre Woodard, and they're the two main characters, like the two moms. So I would recommend this movie if you like kind of family drama movies, if you would. I might watch it again because it was like a nice watch, and there was great performances in it and nice little comedy bits as well too. But there's definitely some scenes in this movie that like I will like always remember for this particular film. False Positive from 2021, starring Alana Glazer, Justin Theroux, and Pierce Brosnan. It's a horror thriller. After months of trying and failing to get pregnant, Lucy and Adrian finally find their dream fertility doctor in Dr. Hindle. But after becoming pregnant with a healthy baby girl, Lucy begins to notice something sinister about Dr. Hindle. So this movie 100% has Rosemary's Baby movie vibes. If you're familiar with that movie, you'll kind of get the vibe that this one is, because it's heavily influenced by it, in my opinion. It is one of those like scary movies where it has dark moments where I can't see what's happening, and I hate that. Like, I'll be watching and like if I have to like try to change the lighting in my room because I can't see what's happening in your film, I think that's stupid. This movie is really good acting. Everyone does a good job in it, and it's an interesting film with how it was shot and whatnot. But this movie really made me mad. I think it's supposed to, but nevertheless, it did make me mad. And it plays into the stereotype that the woman must be crazy, or the pregnant woman must be crazy hormonal, and there's nothing wrong. It's just her pregnancy hormones, this crazy woman, right? I hate it. And it definitely plays into that in this movie, to where it was like very frustrating to watch, which again I'm sure is the point, but didn't make it enjoyable. You definitely probably want to read the trigger warnings on this movie as well, just to be on the safe side if that's something you're concerned with. I would not watch this movie again. I could recommend it maybe if you're interested in kind of a thriller, mind-crazy movie. It's not horrible. It just, like I said, it did make me mad throughout the plot, and the ending is kind of So keep that in mind if it's something you're wanting to watch. Then I watched X from 2022, Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, and Brittany Snow. This is a horror movie. In 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas, but when their reclusive elder hosts catch them in the act, the cast find themselves fighting for their lives. Fantastic cast. Everybody in this movie does a really good job, and I thought it was very enjoyable. In my opinion, this movie has one of the best horror movie screams. I don't know if the person won an award, but they should have, and I of course won't spoil it, but in my opinion, one of the best horror movie screams. The score in this movie was very interesting to me because it's creepy, but quite beautiful. I forgot to look up who did the score. I should, because whoever composed it did a really good job, because like I said, very beautiful score, but very creepy. So yeah, overall for a horror movie, definitely entertaining and good. I will say it's not really a spoiler that like the scariest part for me had to do with an alligator, which is funny for a horror movie, but it does take a lot to freak me out in that genre of film. I would recommend this if you are a scary movie fan. I may watch it again. There is since a prequel and a sequel coming out soon. I have not seen either one of those, but I watched this one first, of course, and I will try to see those ones at some point. But yes, I did enjoy this watch. Then we have Anastasia from 1997, starring Meg Ryan, John Cusack, Christopher Lloyd. Historical family movie. Girl heads to Paris to learn if she's the long-lost Princess Anastasia. Yes, I know it's crazy that I'd never seen this movie. I understand, but I knew some of the music from it, just from childhood, and so basically what had happened is someone asked me if I would cosplay Anastasia, and I said that I'd never seen them, and my stepsister, who is a huge Anastasia fan and Romanoff buff, wanted to show me the movie, so she showed me the movie. It is quite cute, nice little animated film, if you will. I don't know why I had never seen this animated movie, but like I said, it was funny because like I knew the music as I was watching the film, but so if you like animated, like historical, not accurate though, not historically accurate movies, I would recommend it. It's a cute like princess movie, and I'd probably watch it again at some point. Then we have Don't Worry Darling from 2022, starring Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, and Chris Pine. This is a thriller. Olivia Wilde's thriller follows a couple living in an experimental 1950s community whose idyllic appearance hides a sinister secret. I'm so mad I slept on this movie for so long. I feel like there was so much drama with the behind the scenes of filming this movie with Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles that like I just kind of put it out of my sight for a bit, but I love Florence Pugh, and so I saw it was streaming and I was like, I should just watch this, and I should have seen it sooner because I absolutely loved this movie. Everything kept me like fully entertained and interested in what was happening. Fantastic thriller, keep you on the edge of your seat, if you will. Florence does an amazing job. I mean, really everybody's performance in this movie is great, but she is the star and I love her. She's just so good. The score is like super eerie in this movie, but cool. And I could almost see, there's certain movies I watch that I can see like an ASMR aspect to it. The way it's shot, or like quiet moments and then like sounds. There was definitely like some ASMR-y moments in this movie that was enjoyable. So I would definitely recommend this movie if you're a thriller fan, and I would totally watch it again. The Last Stars from 2019 is a historical drama series on Netflix. So this was, of course, recommended to me by my stepsister because she's all about the history stuff of the Romanov family. And after I watched Anastasia, I wanted to know more of like the historical stuff, not the cartoon stuff. So it's a really good documentary about what happened, but it has acting in it. So it's a show, but it's not that corny documentary acting. Oftentimes when you watch a documentary and then they cut to like the acting portion, it's so corny, it like takes you out of it, and it's not like entertaining or doesn't present the historical information accurately, if that makes sense. But I really enjoyed this one, both the historians talking about what happened and the acting portion of this series. I learned a lot about the Romanoff family and kind of that portion of history. I would recommend this like documentary series if you're interested in history stuff, the Romanoff family, things like that. Then I watched Priscilla from 2023, starring Kaylee Sweeney and Jacob Elordi. This is a biodrama, of course. Sofia Coppola's riveting film about the explosive love affair between Priscilla and Elvis Presley. So, it's a good movie. It's slow, though, but somehow I wasn't bored. It's a very slow movie. It kept me, like, engaged, but just very slow. I don't know if that makes sense. Watching this, I said multiple times throughout watching this film, like, ugh, she's just a baby, because she was, in fact, so young when she met Elvis, and it's gross. And you, of course, have to take it from Priscilla's point of view. Like, Elvis isn't here to quote-unquote defend himself, but I mean, it is the facts of the age difference between them, and it really shows in this, and kind of like the very much like grooming behaviors. And it's sad. The portion of time from her point of view that she was with Elvis was very lonely and sad from this film's point of view. This movie definitely reminds me of the movie Great Balls of Fire, which is about Jerry Lee Lewis. That movie was also based on the book from his ex-wife, the cousin he married. And maybe that's why it has the same vibe. It's like the ex-wives books about these rock stars that kind of groomed and married them 1950s style, and it's very sad. But this movie is beautiful, slow, sad. I don't think I would watch it again, but if you are interested in, you know, Elvis or musical things, I do think that this movie pissed off a lot of Elvis fans, so keep that in mind. Then I watched The Visit from 2015, starring Olivia de Jong, Ed Oxenbould, and Catherine Hahn. This is a thriller horror movie. A teen and her little brother travel to meet their grandparents, whose behavior soon takes a bizarre and scary turn. This was really good. It had really good jump scares. Like, good. It made me jump and freaked me out, which never happens. So that is an A+ in my book when I'm watching a horror movie, if it actually gets me. I will say that back in the day, when did this come out? 2015, so 9 years ago. One of the trailers I saw spoiled a big part of this movie for me. And I hate when they do that in trailers. So if you want to watch this movie, don't watch the trailers, because it will spoil something for you that would be so much better if you just watched it in the movie, okay? But I still went in wanting to see this movie, even though I remembered that trailer that came out from back then. This movie does feature really good acting, and it's kind of, I didn't know when I started it that it's kind of a, like, I don't want to say like found film, but like documentary style. Like, the kids in this movie are filming their experience, and that's how you watch the movie, but it's not like shaky cam and you can't see what's happening. The way that it's created in this movie is really well done, to where I didn't mind that they had video cameras and like they were filming their experience. So I think that was a really cool aspect of this movie. I would recommend it if you like thriller, horror movies, creepy stuff for sure, creepy. And I may watch it again if I'm in a creepy mood. Then I watched The Marvels from 2023, starring Brie Larson, Tiana Paris, and Iman Vellani. Adventure sci-fi, of course. This is an MCU movie. Captain Marvel teams up with Miss Marvel and astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau to save the universe. I really enjoyed this movie. Shocking, I know, but I went into this movie loving Kamala and Monica. I love the Miss Marvel TV show, and I loved Monica in WandaVision, so I went into this movie being pretty excited to see both of them in a full MCU film. I don't know why this movie got so much hate. I mean, I do, but it's ridiculous, because I enjoyed this movie quite a bit, especially compared to some of the more recent MCU movies that have come out that have kind of disappointed me. I thought this movie was super enjoyable. Enjoyed the trio. All three of them were really good in this movie. I just thought it was overall a great Marvel movie. I would 100% watch it again and recommend it to Marvel fans or, you know, comic booky fans. I don't know. I don't think it deserves the hate that it received. I liked it. Then I watched Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom from 2023, starring Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson. Fantasy sci-fi. Aquaman forges an unlikely alliance with his imprisoned brother Orm to stop Black Manta and the mythical Black Trident. So, I have only seen the original Aquaman like one time, and it was like, I think this one's better. Like, there was so much controversy around it because of Amber Heard being in this movie, and she's really not in it that much. But I definitely think I like this movie better than the first Aquaman movie. I don't know, I put it on while I was working, and I was pleasantly surprised that I really enjoyed this film. I don't think it matters anymore, because I think they're completely rebooting all of the DC stuff, and I don't think Jason Momoa's gonna be Aquaman anymore. But I liked this movie. I would watch it again. If you like DC stuff or superhero stuff, give it a watch, maybe. I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. Then I watched Ghost from 1990, starring Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, and Whoopi Goldberg. Fantasy sci-fi. Young lovers Sam and Molly have it all, but when Sam is murdered in cold blood, his ghost must contact Molly to let her know she is in danger. Yes, I know, I have never seen this movie. I see all the references, and it's crazy, but I finally watched it. Again, I saw it was streaming. I was like, it is time, I need to watch this movie. Very cute, but sad. Of course, it's gonna be sad because, like, he dies. Like, that's not even a spoiler. Like, that's the point of the movie. It's called Ghost. Everybody's really good in this. I love Patrick Swayze. Huge crush. Demi Moore's good. Whoopi Goldberg definitely takes the show. She, like, of course, won an award for this because she's so good in this movie. I absolutely love her character. She's like a psychic, and she's phenomenal in this movie. I will say that I called part of the storyline pretty early on. I didn't know any spoilers about this movie besides the fact that he's a ghost. But I definitely called something early on with this, but it was enjoyable. I'd watch again, and I would recommend it if you like that type of movie. Then I watched Dune from 2021, starring Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson and Zendaya. So adventure sci-fi. The son of a noble family travels to a dangerous planet to ensure the future of his people in this visually stunning sci-fi epic. Which it is visually stunning. But it took me 3 settings to get through this movie. Some people told me yes to watch it. Other people told me to skip it. I went ahead and watched it because everyone's talking about the sequel right now. It's like so hot news and everything. And it did take me 3 times to finish this movie. I don't know if it's because it's long or it was not capturing my attention. I feel like the beginning of this film isn't made for people that aren't in the fandom, that aren't already familiar with what's happening, because there was a lot of things that were happening in the beginning of this movie and like halfway through, like most of this movie. Like, I didn't understand what was happening, like nothing was explained to the viewer. And I mean, maybe they didn't want to dumb it down for me, that's fine. But if I'm a new viewer coming into this fandom, like, you gotta throw me a bone a little bit, because I was a little lost on what was occurring throughout the beginning of this movie. The ending started to pick up and get a little bit better for me, and I was like more invested and interested, and then the movie ends. So I don't know if that means like the sequel is gonna be more intense and entertaining for me. I don't know. I'm not jumping out of my seat to see the sequel because the majority of this movie just didn't capture my attention. The cast is great. You know, it's a very visually pleasing movie, but just the story is a little lost on me. So yeah, I don't know if I will watch the sequel. I don't know, maybe at some point if it's streaming, but I don't honestly know if it would bore me to death too, so I don't have plans to watch this one again. I did, however, wonder if I should watch the one from the 80s, if it would explain things better. I don't know. Then I watched Quiet Place 2 from 2020, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, and Cillian Murphy. Horror sci-fi. Following the deadly events at home, the Abbott family must now face the terrors of the outside world as they continue their fight for survival in silence. I think this is a really good sequel. great jump scares. I really liked the first one, and so I was curious what they would do with this sequel, and I think it holds up to the first one. Like I said, good cast, good acting, good jump scares, makes for a good scary movie. And now I believe that they're doing, is it a prequel? Like, we kind of see more of like when it first started and everything. But yeah, I think this is a good scary movie sequel. I would probably watch it again and would recommend it. The Nun 2 from 2023, Tasia Farmiga, Jonas Boquette, and Storm Reed. It's a horror cult movie. The sequel to the worldwide smash hit follows Sister Irene as she once again comes face to face with Valak, the demon nun. This is, of course, in the Conjuring series, which I really enjoy. It's not bad. It's, usual Conjuring spin-off, if you will. I will say that this sequel, it leaves a bit of questions for viewers, at least it did for me. I won't spoil, but if you're a fan of The Conjuring as a whole, you know certain things about characters or storylines, and this movie leaves a bit of a plot hole. You can kind of assume things to where it fills that hole, but it's not outright said to where it does leave that question on if they'll make another movie or if they've accidentally ruined part of the storyline, because these movies are connected and they did something that leaves the viewer wondering, if you will. But Tasia Farmiga is very good in this movie, I like her, and overall it was like a decent, creepy movie to watch. This one is definitely gorier than the first one, than most of the Conjuring group of movies. This one had some blood and gore. But overall, it's an okay scary movie. I'm not sure if I would watch it again. Maybe if you're watching through all of the Conjuring movies, you could check it out. The Black Coat's Daughter from 2015, starring Kieran Shipka, Lucy Bonkin, and Emma Roberts. This is a horror cult movie. A troubled young woman travels to an isolated prep school where two stranded students are being menaced by a mysterious evil force. Very intriguing movie. Just randomly found it on streaming and I was like, sounds interesting. Let us watch it. I feel like the end may confuse some people, or it's up for interpretation. I didn't mind the ending, and I definitely had like a clear point of view of what had happened, of how it ends. And I kind of looked up online to see if like that was like the general consensus, if that was like the general thought, and everyone kind of agreed. So I think I got it right when I watched it for myself. But it doesn't like outright tell you, but if you kind of connect the dots, it makes sense to me. I don't know, I watch a lot of scary movies though, so. But yeah, like, I caught on to the story, and I did enjoy it. Good acting in this movie. It's good. There's a lot of like confused mystery in it. Like, you're not always like sure what exactly is happening throughout the course of this film. I'm not sure I would watch it again. I feel like it's one of those ones like you watch it once through and it's like good enough. But I feel like a lot of people would really enjoy this movie. It could definitely be on some favorites lists. Then I watched another movie that I've slept on for way too long, which was Midsummer from 2019. Florence Pugh, Jack Reynor, horror mystery. A couple travels to Northern Europe to visit a rural hometown fabled Swedish Midsummer festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly dissolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. Dun, dun, dun. I love this movie. I've been thinking about this movie quite a bit, and I just really enjoyed this movie. Again, too bad that I waited so long on it. I don't know why I did, but I was very much trying to avoid spoilers with it because I knew that I would watch it at some point. But I really enjoyed this movie. Florence Pugh, of course, chef's kiss. She's amazing in everything she does. This movie is like so weird and creepy and like, what the fuck? WTF? But I still really enjoyed it. I think it's a great horror movie. But yeah, I'm convinced I need to see everything Florence Pugh's in because she's just fantastic. Great movie. I will 100% watch it again, and I would recommend it. It is crazy though, so keep that in mind. And the opening of this movie is dark. Not in like a lighting sense, like in a storyline sense. Oh my god, but I'm trying to tell myself I don't need to cosplay from this movie, but I kind of want to at the same time. But I loved it. Then I watched The Descent from 2005, starring Shauna Macdonald, Natalie Mendoza, and Alex Reed. It's a horror thriller. A cave diving expedition goes horribly wrong as the explorers become trapped and ultimately pursued by a strange breed of predators. I've heard about this movie forever. I mean, it's from 2005, right? But I just never watched it, decided to pull it up on streaming. It's a very dark movie, and I mean lighting this time, and I get it. We're in a cave, but if I can't tell what's happening, I think the movie's bad. Like, I couldn't even tell the girls apart, because it's a group of girls that go into these caves exploring, right? And I couldn't tell them apart because it was so dark, where the camera was moving so much, and I get it's supposed to be the scary part, but I can't even tell which character is doing what. So that was very disappointing for this movie. Of course, there were bits that weren't so dark so you could see, but definitely a negative there. Overall, like, this movie was creepy because, like, I'm never going cave diving or exploring or any of that. I think that's suicidal. But, and then you get down there and there's monsters. So, it was creepy, but not amazing. I don't think I'd watch it again. And, I mean, if you're bored, you could watch it. It's not a horror movie that I would, like, rave about for you guys to watch. But the acting's decent. I wish I could see more of the effects and stunts that they were doing, but it was so dark, I had no idea what was happening. Then I watched Speak from 2004, starring Kristen Stewart, Elizabeth Perkins, and Steve Zahn. After a blurred trauma over the summer, Melinda enters high school a selective mute. Struggling with school, friends, and family, she tells the dark tale of her experiences and why she has chosen not to speak. I watched this movie because I just finished the book, and this is a really good book-to-movie adaptation. Sometimes those don't go over too well, but I think this is probably one of the best book-to-movie films that I've seen, and I just read the book, so it was like fresh in my mind. I really enjoyed Kristen Stewart as Melinda. She does a really good job. Like I said, it was fresh in my mind just reading the book, and I think they did a really good job with this adaptation. Of course, trigger warning for the main plot of this story and the book itself. You can look that up if you see fit. But overall, yeah, it's a good movie. I would probably watch it again and would recommend it. It's very, like, coming of age with trauma. Then I watched Poor Things from 2023. Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, William Dafoe. It is a comedy drama. The incredible tale about the fantastical evolution of Bella Baxter, a young woman brought back to life by the brilliant and unorthodox scientist Dr. Goodwin Baxter. This movie is controversial online. So many people talking about it. I love this movie. It's another one that I've been thinking about constantly. I kind of fell in love with Midsummer and Poor Things. Don't know what that says about me, but I think this movie's brilliant and fantastic. It is dark and comedic and heartfelt and bizarre and crazy, and there's parts that, like, make you uncomfortable, and it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. It's not a fairy tale. I think some people are missing that. They're like, oh, it's so disturbing. Well, yes, that's part of the process of the storyline. Within this movie, you see such character progression. It's just crazy. Like I said, there's a lot of people that don't like the movie and don't like some of the plots, and I could probably rant about how much I like this movie and the different parts to it, but it would involve spoilers, and so I'm trying to refrain. But you definitely go on a journey with Bella Baxter from, like, infant thoughts to adult, and how she is treated in those mindsets. And as her thoughts progress, how people change the way they treat her, I don't know. I'm trying to not spoil things. I will say there is a lot of sex scenes in this movie. Probably the most sex scenes I've ever seen in a film, and a lot of people don't like that. I get it. It probably could have been less. Some of them made sense for the storyline and everything, but there is, just for your warning, there's a lot of nudity and sex scenes in this movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I don't know, maybe I will do some sort of spoiler video or chat or podcast or something about how much I liked the different aspects of this and my opinion on some of the things that people haven't liked, but I would definitely watch again. It inspired a cosplay, and I'd recommend it. Then I watched Damsel from 2024 this year. It's got Millie Bobby Brown, Ray Winston, and Robin Wright in it. It is an action-adventure. A young woman's marriage to a charming prince turns into a fierce fight for survival. I think this is a great fantasy film. Like, badass character fantasy film. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Millie Bobby Brown is lovely as usual, and she looks like breathtaking in this movie. There are a few things in this that I don't really care for in films that have to do with like animals that I don't like when it happens, so to keep that in mind. But overall, it's a good adventure movie. Also, here's a fantastic example of cave bits, but I can still see what's happening in the movie. But good adventure movie. I might watch it again, maybe. I would recommend it to people that like fantasy adventure films. Then I watched Alone from 2020, Jules Wilcox and Mark Menchaca. It's a thriller movie. When a lone traveler flees the city looking for a fresh start, she meets a sadistic stalker who tries to make the wilderness her final destination. This is a very real horror movie. It's not like over-exaggerated for film. It's not like supernatural, This is like creepy stuff that happens in everyday life. So it makes the creep level and the scary level way more intense for this. Really good performances in this. I started this movie and I was like, oh, this is gonna be creepy. And then, she started driving places that I know from up here in the Pacific Northwest, and I was like, oh, great. This movie takes place where I am. Great. Creepy. But good acting, as I said. My anxiety was kind of peaked throughout the course of this movie, which is good for a thriller. You want to be on the edge of your seat, right? I was a fan of the main character in this, and kind of her character decisions, if you will. It's definitely one of those movies that had me screaming at the screen and rooting for the character, and there's this moment towards the end of the film that I think is brilliant, fantastic. I am not sure I've seen it happen in a thriller horror movie before, and it's a brilliant part. So I don't know if I'll watch this again. It's one of those I watched it and good. I might though, because it was a good movie, and I would definitely recommend it to scary movie thriller fans. Then I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once from 2022. Michelle Yeoh, Kenyo Kwan, and Jamie Lee Curtis. It's a sci-fi drama comedy. An audit of Evelyn's laundromat triggers a heroic journey through the alternate universe where the only constant is her complicated love for her family. What a fantastic cast this is, and great acting. I understand why it won so many awards. It's a great sci-fi movie, but the cast really makes it incredible. It's a very beautiful movie too, the way that it's shot, and it's very colorful and dramatic. It's got some great funny bits too, but a lot of emotion in this movie too. It is a very trippy film, as sci-fi is, but very enjoyable. I would probably watch this again, and because of the performances alone, and I would recommend it. Then I watched The Marsh King's Daughter from 2023. This has Daisy Ridley and Ben Mendelsohn in it. Thriller. A woman returns to the wilds of her youth to face her father, the man who kept her and her mother captive for years. This is a great thriller movie. Daisy Ridley is fantastic in this. It tripped me out though because she drops her accent. She's really good at it. She doesn't slip. She does an American accent in this movie, but she's really good. Gil Birmingham is also in this movie, and I really like him, and he was great in it as well. Overall, it's a good storyline. The acting's great. Creepy parts, you know. I would watch this again. Very good, and I would recommend it for people that like kind of thriller mysteries. And then the last two things are like some shows that I'm watching the new episodes of. Haven't completed, obviously, but first is XMen 97. At the time of recording this video, I've seen the first 2 episodes of the new 2024 season, and it's great. Great nostalgia for X-Men. X-Men fans, takes you back to the childhood, and I enjoyed the first 2 episodes really well. I will say that there was like 2 parts, no spoilers, but there were 2 parts in the first 2 episodes that had me like, what just happened? But I look forward to watching the rest of the series as they come out with the different episodes, and I would of course recommend it to X-Men fans. And then we go to Grey's Anatomy. The new season came out, and at the time of filming this, I think I've seen the first 2 episodes. Grey's Anatomy, like the earlier stuff, is most definitely like a comfort show for me. I've seen it a million times. Do I still think the show is amazing? Not amazing. Not as good as it used to be. Will I keep watching it anyway until it ends? Probably so, just to see what's happening, and I am curious when they're going to finally end it, or if it's just going to continue forever into an abyss. I have no idea, but the older stuff will always be like comfort show level to me, so I will just continue to watch the new episodes as they come out. Alright, lovelies. I hope you enjoyed this movie film chat and can take some of these recommendations, and if you watch them, I hope you love them. The ones that I recommended anyway. Let me know if you do. I always like to hear your guys' feedback. As always, I hope you guys have a great day and rest well.